Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so we are going to go over leading diagonals since my last video got deleted by me by accident. But that's okay because we're going to make a new one that's a lot better, all right? Okay, so first, we're going to use Tesla as an example, but before we use Tesla as an example, we will actually go over what it is, okay? So first, a leading diagonal is basically just a rising wedge, okay? That's all it basically is this, all right? And then a subwaves, or yeah, I guess the subwaves that's in it, the main wave, will look something like this: A, B, C, D, and then E. Okay, so 3 touches to the upside, 2 touches to the downside, ideally. And then we're gonna be looking for a break. So usually they happen. Well, they only happen in uptrends. Okay, it usually signals a top, but it can happen on any wave, wave 1, 3, or 5. Most of the time, wave 5, but it can happen on wave 1, which you'll see in this example here in a second. Okay, but that's basically it. It's just 2 trend lines, consolidating price in a wedge-like pattern, and an uptrend, and it usually signals the top, and that is your exit signal to get out before it dumps. Okay, so that's basically it. There's nothing much to explain. I'll talk more on the example though. Say, okay, so now if we go to wave 1 for Tesla, right? We can draw this like this. This is the top. And now we draw the bottom one. Okay. So we have this massive uptrend. We're pumping, we're pumping, we're pumping. And then we form this leading diagonal, okay? We're going to grab our Elliott triangle wave, A, B, C, D, E. We're just going to place this zero somewhere down here. Doesn't really matter where. And then A, B, C, D, E. Now they must touch this trend line, okay? If a move goes to like halfway and then goes down, you cannot mark that. Every single A, C, E, B, and D has to touch the trend line, okay? Now if, a stock touches like this and then kind of does this and then goes up, touches again, and then goes down, you don't mark that twice, right? You just mark this as A, probably the one that's right before the move, okay? So you don't have, let me draw it out for you. You're not going to have an you're not going to have A, B, C, D, E. That's not going to be it because B must touch the bottom of the trend line, okay? Same with C, same with D, and same with E, okay? So it should look something like this, okay? Now, there is the same thing like we teach with the regular trend lines, okay? The main target is this very bottom section, which is usually wave B, okay? Usually that is the main target. Now, of course, with leading diagonals, we will go much lower, especially if it's signaling the end of that wave. But once we do see 241, which is the bottom of this wedge or leading diagonal, then you could expect maybe a pop back up for a retest, kind of like how we did here, right before push lower. You could maybe expect some consolidation like Tesla was. So that's just something to keep in mind. But leading diagonals do signal top. That is your exit signal to get out. Okay. Now you can also mix this with a bearish divergence. So you can see how Tesla was forming this leading diagonal and making new highs while the RSI was making lower highs. That is a bearish RSI divergence. Now mixing these two is absolutely phenomenal and you get amazing results. Okay. So that's basically leading diagonals. There's nothing much else to say. The subwaves for this is A, B, C. And then again, another A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C. Okay. So all the subwaves for it is ABC. And why is it ABCs instead of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and ABC? Is because every single letter means a correction. Okay. If it's an Elliott wave and it's a letter, then it's a correction, which will be an ABC. Okay. Anything against the trend. Okay. So that's why 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is all numbered because it's overall with the trend other than wave 2 and 4. But overall, it's in the up direction. While a ABC down for our main correction is ABC, right? So an A, B, C, D, E, all the subways are all ABC in there. Okay, every single one. Okay, so that's basically leading diagonals. There's no, they're pretty simple. The only thing I'll say on them is they're not really common. I mean, you'll get them here and there, like Tesla made it back in 2020, at the end of 2023. But even if we go back to here, there's no leading diagonal, or even right to now, there's no leading diagonal or no clear one. I mean, you could force one here, right? I mean, you could say this and then, you know, maybe this. You could force a leading diagonal, but it is not a leading diagonal, right? A, B, C, and that's all you have. So, not a leading diagonal. Now, it could be accurate. I mean, it would play out. Maybe remove this top one and just say it's a bearish trend line, and then we're going to be targeting 384, but it's not a leading diagonal at all. So, now, could you say it's a channel? I mean, it's possible. You could say it's probably could be a channel, but there's not a leading diagonal, okay? They're not very common at all. Really, actually, the only example I can think of is Tesla back in 2023. But it is good to know because, you will see it pop up more, and it's good to know how to execute that. So that's basically how you execute it. So top signal, once it breaks to the downside, it's going to be very violent. You need to get out. So that's leading diagonals, and hopefully you learned something new.